everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Chris. It's been a little while, but today I got my very first bare root fruit trees and I'm very excited and I thought I would share it with you. I'm about to plant them in my front yard. So this here is my front yard. I've been debating on whether to make this into the orchard or use it for my garden. What I was going to do was to take this tree and this roadie out of here and build my garden from the edge of the pasture here all the way through this area and into the front. But I decided that I really didn't want it to be up front. So instead, I'm going to put my garden in the back of the house in this space. So there's some clearing that needs to be done. We have these hedges everywhere here and those have got to go. We also have roadies everywhere and those have got to go too. All of this right here needs to go. This building right here used to be a chicken coop, but part of the ceiling has fallen in and the insulation is actually moldy. So that needs to be taken care of. And this little roof that comes off of it, I'm assuming used to be part of the chicken run at some point. But I'm going to take that down completely so that I can put a high tunnel here. Over there where that is, that's going to be where the compost pile goes. I'll put my high tunnels here and then the bulk of the garden will go in this area. I do have that tree that might throw some shade to the garden, so it might need to be at least trimmed. I don't remember what this tree looks like when it's in leaf, so I can't remember if it's actually one of the really pretty trees on the property or whether it's just a basic tree. Either way, I'm not married to it, so if I have to take it down to give my garden the light that it needs, that's fine. There are more than enough trees on this property to make up for losing a couple. Here's our little resident pheasant buddy. This little guy, I don't know how he got here or where his actual home is, if he even really has a home, because he's not native here. The only pheasants we have are at release sites, which are, gosh, it's probably almost 20 miles away. So I don't think he's from the release site either. But he loves to come to our property, he loves to visit, and I don't mind that. The only thing I mind is that he really teases the dogs. So my dog, especially Nellie, she loses it every time she sees him out the window. Here are the bare root trees. They're both cherries. I chose a Rainier Cherry and a Montmorency cherry. To me, I feel like those cherries give you the best of both worlds. The Rainier is my favorite for fresh eating, and the Montmorency is my favorite for pies, tarts, anything baking or canning. So both of these trees are semi-dwarf trees, so they're not full-size trees that are going to get really huge, but they're still going to get about 15 feet tall. So I want to make sure to take that into consideration when I choose their planting spots. The Montmorency here doesn't actually need a pollinator to fruit, but the Rainier does. And I did make sure that these two will make good pollinators for each other, because since the Rainier does need a pollinator, it has to have another tree. Montmorency should flower about the same time and work as a great pollinator for the Rainier. And even though the Montmorency doesn't need a pollinator, it will produce more fruit if you have one. So not only do these marry the perfect cherry world for me, they should also work really well together. Hopefully they both survive. My last cherry tree in my last house didn't do so well, but I also never really fertilized it. I didn't take care of it like I should. So that is one of my goals for this house and these trees, is that I actually take care of them and I fertilize them when they need it, because this is the start of what I hope will be a pretty good sized orchard. So I'm going to start by digging a hole. I'm going to put the first one here, and I want to dig the hole twice as wide as the rootstock and equally as deep. Here's the rootstock of the Rainier. And it is probably roughly about 8 to 9 inches deep. And then I'm going to spread the roots out when I plant it. So like this. Both of my trees have also been soaking in a bucket of water. They've been in there for about 3.5 hours or so. According to the directions that I got from the store that I got these from, they should be soaked anywhere between 3 to 6 hours. So since they've been soaking for about 3.5, they should be ready to go in the ground now. Here we have our hole. I have my Rainier here. Let's see. It's about twice as wide as the roots, and it's about as deep as the root. You want to make sure that you don't plant above this graft. You want to stay 2 to 3 inches below that graft. So I'm going to plant it about right here, or bury it to about right here. That's where it was planted originally. So that's where we're going to keep the soil level. Now to get this planted, I'm going to use a mix of native soil and potting soil. This can be used outside. It doesn't have to be used in a raised bed or anything. It's fine for in the ground. And this also has compost in it, which is why I want to mix it with the native soil. And I'm also going to add some bone meal. The bone meal is supposed to help encourage the plant to focus on spreading its roots and building a really good root system over the first couple years. So that means there won't be much of a harvest, if any at all, over the first couple years. And that's another reason why I want to go ahead and get my orchard started, because it is going to take a little while to get it up and going. Spending those first couple years really focusing on developing a good root system, in the end, it's going to be worth it, and it's going to give me a much better tree, much healthier tree, and much more productive tree. So we have our tree in. I'm going to go ahead and kind of tamp this down a little bit. Now I'm going to add a little bit of compost in here too, like straight up compost from my friend's farm. So I'll go grab that this week and add it to this. And then I will also end up mulching around this as well. But I don't have any mulch at the moment, so that's going to have to come later as well. Now once you get it in, you want to water it really, really well. It's supposed to rain for the next, well, it's supposed to rain for the entire week coming up. So this is going to get plenty of water, but I'm still going to water it today. And I'm just going to take this bucket that I was soaking the roots in, and I'm going to water it like that. You do not want these roots getting dry. That compacted the soil a little bit as well, but that's okay. We'll come in and fill it in, but for now, that should be fine. So we got one down, one more to go, but I'm losing light. It's getting kind of late. I started a little bit late. I was told that your second trimester of pregnancy, you're supposed to get all this energy back. And so far, I am not getting all that energy back. So part of my day was spent napping. But you got to do what you got to do to take care of yourself, right? So instead of planting the other one today, it's going to have to wait till tomorrow. I have this planter box that runs the length of the front of my house. All I'm going to do is I'm going to put it in here. I'm going to cover it with dirt. So I now have it covered loosely with dirt, and I'm just going to leave it there. It should be fine. The main thing is you just don't want the roots to dry out. And it should not dry out in this space. It looks like we made it just in time for the rain to start up again. It was downpouring earlier. The one thing that is different here than any other place I've lived at in the Pacific Northwest is the wind. It is crazy windy here. Speaking of the wind, These trees are going to have to be supported. That's where the mountains are, and the wind just kind of blows right through here. It's a regular occurrence for every week to have at least 40-mile-an-hour winds at some point during the week. It's crazy. These trees are definitely going to have to be supported so they don't get blown over and that they don't kind of grow wonky with the wind. That is all for today. We will finish this task up hopefully tomorrow. Hopefully you'll tune in. We can go ahead and get that finished. I want to thank you so much for joining me today as I get my orchard officially started here at the new house. Hopefully there will be many more adventures. Hopefully I'll get the energy back so we can have many more adventures here. We still have an entire garden to plan and build. In this place, there isn't a pre-existing garden, so we literally have to build it from scratch, which is going to be very interesting. I've never done that before outside of building raised beds, so it's going to be an adventure. So hopefully you join me for that. Thank you so much, and I hope to see you next time.